Hey, everybody, welcome back to DC Football 101. I'm your host, Lucas, aka Mr. J. We're back for episode 2, and it seems fitting that we record right before the NFC East, well, not the NFC East Championship game. I mean, it might as well be called that, right? Because the NFC Championship game prior to the Super Bowl is coming down to the Eagles and the Commanders. The Eagles arguably have the best overall roster of the remaining teams in the playoffs. The Commanders have arguably one of the hottest teams and one of the most composed quarterbacks still in the playoffs. Actually, probably in the whole entire league, outside of maybe Mr. Patrick Mahomes himself, which is high praise and well deserved at this point, guys. Look, so here's the deal. I'm just going to break down real quick now. If you listen, the game, what the keys to victory here. If you listen to our podcast or any of our shorts from this past week, then you kind of already heard some of this before, but some of it's going to be new based on some information that's been put available here. So first off, let's get into it. The Commanders are clearly underdogs. They've been underdogs the whole entire playoffs. There's no denying this, guys. There's no denying it. But that doesn't mean that the Commanders can't come away with a victory here. There are some keys to victory. First off, we know that the Eagles don't always capitalize on turnovers. We saw that with 5 turnovers in a game against them last time. Granted, Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, but Jalen Hurts, it might not be 100% Jalen Hurts in this game. We'll see, right? And Joe Wood Jr., our defensive coordinator, came out a few days ago in a presser saying that if he gets outside the pocket, we're going to hit him like a running back. I'm all for it. Just don't get any penalties. Don't be stupid about it. But play within the rules of the game. Make him regret leaving the pocket. Absolutely. Make him a pocket passer. Fun fact, and this is kind of a hint towards one of our trivia questions. But the more Jalen Hurts passes in the playoffs, the lower success rate that they have of winning those playoff games. I'm not going to give you the exact answer. You still have to tune into our next episode. But that is a fun fact that I do want to leave with you guys here. That being said, making Jalen Hurts a pocket passer is going to be something that we need to do here. Also, another thing that we need to do is attack Saquon Barkley before he gets to the line of scrimmage. We did this really well in the second game against the Eagles, and we did a decent job until the fourth quarter into the first game of limiting Saquon Barkley's big play boom. And basically what I think we need to do, and this kind of gets us to the Dayron pain of it all, where he's going to be out with a finger and knee injury. Now, I believe he did hurt his finger previously in the playoffs. I believe it was against the Buccaneers. So it's not surprising to hear that he's going to be out for this game. That does give Jerzon Newton another shot of playing more high minutes in this game. And Jerzon was a big part of the Commanders, containing Saquon Barkley last time. See, Jerzon is a 3 technique guy. He rushes up the field. He's an upfield guy. He doesn't hold his place, but he gets up the field. And we have to stop Saquon before he gets to the line of scrimmage. Because if he gets to the line of scrimmage, we're in trouble already. You need to stop him in the backfield before he gets momentum, before he gets into his speed, his rhythm, all that stuff. Get him in the backfield. Get him for a tackle for loss. That's your best bet of slowing him down, or at least containing the big plays, right? So that's one of our keys to victories here. In the past, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Time of possession, Jaden Daniels needs to be methodical, bringing the ball down the field, burning up the clock, not allowing the Eagles too many possessions. You want to limit their possessions and try to make it hard for them to get a long consecutive drive going. So you want to do that. And you also want to limit turnovers. Now, we won last game with 5 turnovers. I mentioned that earlier. It doesn't mean that we want to do that again. We want to make sure that we are the ones forcing the turnovers. And with a banged-up Jalen Hurts, it is possible, okay? That being said, we still have a lot to do here. It's not going to be an easy game. We are definitely underdogs. But it is possible, folks. And I'm all here to believe on it. I don't think anybody's discounting the Commanders. I know the majority of people are saying the Eagles are going to win, and that's fine. We're used to being underdogs. If the Eagles win, so be it. But at the end of the day, look, I think we have the momentum. I think we have a decent game plan, blueprint, how to beat the Eagles, because we almost did it twice. We've already done it once. So I think it's totally possible. I think that the Commanders, if they follow that game plan, limiting Saquon Barkley's big plays, making Jalen Hurts a pocket passer, forcing him to pass, whether it's because of his injury or because of how we're playing him, controlling time of possession and controlling the turnover battle, then we have a shot here, guys. Despite losing Dayron Payne, who is a big part of our defensive line, to be clear, but this is the time for Johnny Newton to shine. This is the time for Sheldon Day to make his name. This is the time for those guys to step up. Next man up mentality. Absolutely. So we have to do those things, okay? Like I said before, I think we're going to have between 10 to 7 score game here. At the end of it, I think the Commanders come out with a victory. Jaden Daniels is the most poised quarterback in the league. You could say that the Eagles are better at the majority of the positions in this game, but there's one position that they're not better in, and that's quarterback. It's quarterback. And that's really important in the playoffs here. So let's see what happens here. I think Commanders fans should be optimistic. I don't think there's any pause here. I think we have just as good a shot as anybody remaining in the playoffs to beat the Eagles. So let's go do it. That being said, I do want to touch on one other thing before we wrap things up here. It's a short episode. I was hoping to get our guest on. Scheduling issues arise. It happens. Hopefully, our special guest will be on next week after the game, and hopefully talking about the Commanders going to the Super Bowl. But there's one other person that we need to talk about here, and that's Dan Snyder. Now, I know most people don't want to hear about Dan Snyder, but this is actually kind of funny in my opinion. This man is so petty. ESPN used a quote from an anonymous source close to him saying that he's blanking pissed. Okay. He's like mad that we are doing well. He's mad. He never wanted to sell the team. Apparently, he almost nixed the deal several times, including not giving Josh Harris and the new ownership the bank information to give him the $6.5 billion until like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, after talking to former Commanders Redskins head coach Joe Gibbs and his wife, convincing him to pass on the team. Now, I've never heard of a man so petty, but it's out there. And apparently, and no surprise to anybody that followed the team, Dan Snyder is that man. But if anything, the players that are left over from his, reign, like say Terry McLaurin, winning this game would also be giving it to him, and I'm all for it. So Terry, everybody else that's left, let's stick it to Dan Snyder. Let's stick it to Dan Snyder. Get to the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl. Not only for yourselves, not only for the fans, not only for the city, but also to stick it to Dan Snyder. I'm all for it. Let's go. Hail to the Redskins. Raise hail. Hail to the Commanders. All that good stuff. Most of you guys will be listening to this Sunday morning. That's fine. Let's go. Let's beat some Eagles. Let's have some barbecue bird in the evening on Sunday afternoon. You all have a good night. Keep it real. We're out.